Hello and welcome to another exciting installment of live inspirational common unity collaboration. The show that brings you luminaries and wisdom keepers from the dark depths of light itself. See how I united the paradox there? It's a whole double entendre. I think that's the right way to say it. Anyway, today's guests are the absolutely effervescent Ishka Lha and her divine partner, James. They're going to be sharing their vision on creating lasting beauty in an ever-changing world. Ishka is a visionary artist, and together with James, they have a musical group. They're going to tell us all about that. Ishka herself is a visionary painter whose artwork reveal the eternal body that is all things. Her art explores and celebrates the natural radiance inherent in all dimensions of life through the use of neo-traditional iconography and mythology. And she is especially interested in what universal archetypes have most helpfully governed humankind's passage through time into greater avenues of mutual respect, understanding, and heartfelt livelihood. Wonderful. She is phenomenal. You can find out more on ishkalha.com, which is ishkalha.com. Right, wonderful. Well, let's get to it. Let's bring Ishka and James in my smooth transition, a completely smooth transition. Hello, Ishka.
Hello.
Welcome. You have your own microphone and everything.
I do. It's to get the best audio because we will be sharing some music.
Yeah, thanks for letting me know how to enable the stereo on this. I finally did it. I found it. It was a three-pronged attack.
I'm glad it worked.
So tell us about. I mean, I'd love people to understand the magic of your art. So at some point we'll go and show them some images. I've got some queued up, but I would love to know. You know, you paint kind of the unseen and then the archetypal mythics on images. Can you talk to us about what happens in this in your process of painting and what you're really doing?
Yeah, so there's a lot to say. There's so many different facets of the creative process, but my main goal is to be able to, first of all, I'm hoping that we can live in a world where people are able to discover their true unique gifts and be able to express them, and finding out what that is can be a lifelong journey for some people. I feel like, in a way, I feel very lucky to have been able to discover art really early on, and also to be encouraged by my parents and by my teachers as I was growing up, to be able to nurture those gifts. And I think that through that gift, through that discovery, I also the way that I look at at a gift also is that it's something that we've got our natural talents. We're able to figure out what that is, things that we're able to learn easily, that comes easily to us. And the gift, I feel like, is the things that come easily to us that that we also really enjoy doing. Because sometimes there might be things that come easy, but maybe it's not the thing that really expresses our passion and our heart. But through that, I think in doing that and being an artist, it also is a way to give others permission to be able to express their gifts as well. And then in the actual art that I'm creating, oftentimes I've noticed when people are looking at it, that it creates this sense of awe. And I think that there's a level of technical skill, obviously, that I can use to be able to convey something in a way that people don't even understand how it was done. So there's that kind of awe, like, wow, I don't even know how that is created. Like, how did you even do that? And then there's also this depth in the art itself and the content of the art that it usually it creates questions for people, and also it depends on the subject matter, but there's a sense of relatability. There's this sense of, wow, I've experienced that before. I know that place. I know that shape. I know I know that dimension. And
Right.
to bring these aspects of ourselves that we don't always see, you know, it can be through meditation. It might be a feeling that we get in meditation. It might be a place that we've been to in dreams.
Mm.
It might be an emotion that we've felt that we all can relate to, right, as humans. Finding those threads that connect us all in the spirit of unity, in the spirit of love, and I feel like by being able to create a work that is awe-inspiring, that creates a sense of wonder, and this, and it's like this sense of hope as well. That it's it's a way that I feel like I can promote altruism as well, because it's it's from this place of wonder and this excitement for life that we want to bring our gifts out, that we want to be in service. And so, yeah,
Right.
that's
And because it's amazing, you know, you talk about the familiarity and the visionary art that you do, like very similar, like Amanda Sage, his work. It creates something in me, as you're saying this, this memory, this, like, there's something familiar about that. What is this really the difference between visionary art and like and painting some naked bird on a couch? I mean, is this the real difference? Like, you know, creating these imageries that somehow are universal. What is it about what you do that taps that universal place where we all have access to?
yeah. Well, I think a lot of visionary artists actually. I think along the way we found that name to be very useful. I think that it's also been um, uh, I think it's also, I think some of us have also kind of cringed along the way, trying to figure out, okay, well, why are we calling ourselves visionary artists? And because ultimately I feel like any artist who is expressing something authentic in their art,
Mm.
um, who is really actually creating something. And there's all kinds of debate about whether we're creating something new or whether it's just something that we're composting the collective consciousness
Right.
over and over. But I think that visionary, it's, for me, it's about being able to, I think being part of the visionary art movement, for one, is a way for us to be in community with each other, and also developing a visual vocabulary. Um, Visionary for me is about um, tapping into what we want to see in the world,
Mm.
and creating that which we want to see,
Right.
and reminding ourselves of that which we want to see and be. And I think that for me is what the difference is.
Right. So it's like future casting.
Future casting, but also it's also creating from this place. It can be both. I think it can be all times. I think
Right.
we can be future casting. We can be creating in this moment. Literally, the act of creation for me is one of my primary spiritual practices, right? So it slows time down for me.
Mm,
It's able, it's a vehicle for me to be able to just feel things simplify. And I think that's also, we talk about flow state, we talk about being in the zone.
mm,
And also, but I think even more so, it's when we are in that place of service and when we are expressing and fully animating our
mm.
gifts that are um, we are presencing ourselves.
Right. Yeah.
We really feel like we're living in the present, and I think that's really really valuable for us
Yeah.
to be doing.
This notion, this flow state notion. I mean, we hear uh, sports people talk about it, and then artists and musicians. What about the rest of the people who aren't, you know, amazing sports people or musicians or don't consider themselves to be artists? How how can they access flow state?
You can access it doing the dishes. You can access it playing with your kids. You can access it riding horses, or it doesn't, it doesn't have to be just in these other. I think a lot of people. I think a lot of people have this fantasy that we can only find these moments of happiness or flow. Uh, I don't know. I think people have a fantasy about artists in general. I
Oh
think
yeah.
that oh wow, like you really must be living the dream. I think that and I think it's also really dangerous to think that way, because that separates you and what you think, this flow state, this dream,
Right.
this reality that we can live in as a dream, and creating what we would like to create and live how we would like to live.
It's almost like what religion does to God.
Yeah, it's there's yeah there I think, putting anything on a pedestal can be dangerous. And I like to think that we are God, that we all are God. That, that phrase, we see, if we don't see God in all, we don't see God at all.
You know, I like that. Something that I've noticed in common about my favorite visionary artists, you are included in this, is there is this real humbleness to to the work. There's a real sweetness and loving way to the artists themselves. Is that just like, have I just got lucky with the visionary artists I know, or do you think that something happened in convalescing, in bringing together the edges of consciousness and where our consciousness stops? Is this something that makes you humble to creation in order to be able to do that? Like, are they mutually exclusive?
I feel humbled every day that I sit at the easel, sitting at a blank canvas. We're literally practicing that act of surrender every moment, because I'm trying to get out of my own way to be able to actually let true inspiration come through, to be able to actually allow for this translucency to occur, to actually let the light in. And I think, we all have our egos. We've all got, there's we want to make the best thing possible. Yes. We do. But it's not so that, oh, like I can be the best artist possible, better than all the other artists or whatever. It's, I think, also because I see my art as an act of service. I think that that's just part of my practice. And so I think that people who are creating in that way will naturally, yes, be humbled. And also because we're willing to um, dive into the mystery, to dive into the unknown, to dive into this vocation that most people think is crazy and would never even consider, because yeah, it's difficult. It is rebellious to
Uh,
choose this path, I think, because it's not necessarily the status quo. It's not necessarily the highest paying
mm,
job, but for me, it's the most fulfilling thing that I could do,
mm,
because I want to create these images for the people, and I want to be able to create something that also creates a sense of levity.
yeah. Well, I think that's wonderful, and they're definitely doing me. Should we show some of your images? I've got it
Yeah.
set up so it's not going through Zoom; it's going through OBS. So I don't, so you won't see them, but you'll know.
Okay.
I can call up your picture one, and it's going to basically replace my face. So you're going to still
Awesome.
be on screen. It's just going to be the set of my face. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Tell us about this picture one.
Yeah. So this is called The Kiss of Mother Peace. And this was my first, what I'll say, my first painting in the visionary art way.
Mm,
I had grown up drawing all kinds of things, mostly drawing, mostly pencil drawing. This was my first painting.
mm,
I had done some painting in art classes and things before, but a lot of people were asking, like, gosh, I really wonder what this would be in color. Wouldn't that be exciting? And I felt like it was just time to transition. And um, so yeah, I did this, and a lot of the way that I would do my pencil drawings is I would just do a total flow. I wouldn't start with a specific concept in mind, which is also how I learned um, how to channel. And so would I would ask certain questions. I think with this one, because this was the very beginning of it, I didn't even have a question in mind when I started it. But um, but I was also, when I think back to that time, I was also um, exploring a lot of what it meant to be a goddess, and what different goddess archetypes I was exploring through song, and just through my studies and conversation, and women's circles. And um, so while I was painting this, I kind of just sat with it, and I did these two female forms, and then I also kept feeling really strongly this serpent, this like serpent dragon energy. um it's not something that I saw. It's in my mind, it was almost like something I felt.
mm,
And so I was just sitting with that, and then um that's kind of the moment where sometimes, after not starting with a certain concept or asking certain questions, then I start asking the questions like, who are these beings, and
yeah.
what is the story coming through, and what is the teaching coming through.
I love
And
that. Sorry, I love that, the notion of the curiosity, because that's something that seems to come up a lot
mm,
in these conversations, is this sort of courageous curiosity. And to
yeah.
hear that you as an artist are sitting there, you know, curious as to what you're going to make.
Totally. And that's really, really fun. And that's, yeah, that's part of the part of the surrendering to the mystery aspect of it,
Mm,
and part of the adventure. So I sat with that, and I was wondering, I was also different people in my community were seeing it in progress when we would visit, and I was just really eager to share what was coming through, and asking my community a lot of questions about it too. And what I discovered is that this being on the right is Kuan Yin,
mm,
and she is a divine mother being. She, in the Buddhist traditions, she's the element of water. she's usually pictured holding this vase filled with healing waters. There's the vase there in the center that's kind of bubbling up.
Mm.
And I had drawn all of these features and had these colors. And I had this dragon spirit and so I discovered that she rides on dragons.
Mm.
And so I painted in the dragon because now I knew it, like, as it could be anywhere along the process, but this was confirmation for me that this was who this being was that was coming through. And she also, I painted her with a full belly. She's not painted in the traditional Buddhist Kuan Yin way. I don't think I've ever seen a statue or an image of her pregnant.
Right.
But she is a goddess of fertility and childbirth, and most often people will pray with Kuan Yin to conceive. And also the being on the left is what I like to think of as green Tara. And the
Mm.
green Tara, there's 21 emanations of the Tara. The white Tara is very much like Kuan Yin, the Divine Mother. The green Tara is the earth element, and she's got this little seed body. It's almost like an apricot seed, or like a walnut seed or something. And she is the youthful maiden of the Taras. She's often seated in half lotus position, like she's ready to come up and just come to our aid at any moment.
Mm.
And so in this moment, I just imagined that she's coming up to receive the water blessings from the Divine Mother, and Kuan Yin's just there in the cosmos, beaming love every which way to every star and beyond, and in this perfect like samadhi state. And then the earth spirit comes to receive the water and gives her mother a kiss. And that's like the moment that her healing waters are bubbling up to water the seed.
What a fantastic beginning visionary art. I mean, what a great starting place. Let's pop on to another one, because I do want to. You are going to sing for us. You set up sound, so we better move along.
Yeah.
I'm going to put your second image up.
Okay, yeah. So this one is called The One I Love. And this is the one that I usually refer to as the painting that I painted my husband into existence with. I was going through, at the time that I started it, I worked on it kind of off and on for a year and a half. At the time that I got, this was a commission, I was going through an insanely tumultuous breakup. And I literally sat down the day after the breakup to the commission meeting, and he asked for a painting of the Divine Union, and it was a perfect medicine for me at the time. And I love how these paintings show up too in just my personal life, and how I can learn so much from them. And so that was my meditation for that next year and a half, was painting this Divine Union. Also at the time, that that man and his partner became engaged. I finished it just before their wedding. This all happened in the process of making this painting, and then I presented it to them at that after their ceremony at their wedding, which they also weren't expecting. It was a total surprise. They just gave, he gave me this subject matter to explore and completely run free with, which is the way that I usually work best. And then 10 days after I released this painting with all the invocations that go with it, I met my husband as my lover for the first time.
Hi, one eye. One eye pop in.
And I had painted. Actually, I completely made up the figures. I did use my face kind of as a reference for lighting. It was not meant to be me, but and then I completely made up the masculine form. And this is also, I mean, a lot of people have used this piece as a talisman to, what I like to think of as talismans, to actually call in what you want. And they've had great success with it. I love hearing people's stories about that.
One of the things that I've noticed about your art, and I think it's across all the images I've ever seen that you've produced, is there is always this union of the divine opposites, and
Mm,
the yin and the yang, the ida, the pingala, the, the opposites uniting. And what interests me as well is the symmetry and the mathematical harmony that you bring to your work.
mm,
There's like this golden ratio thread throughout it. And
mm.
even there, you've got the 5-pointed star, which has the mathematics of the golden ratio
It's
within it.
a
As the,
six-pointed star, actually,
oh,
in the
that's a six,
center.
it's a
Yeah.
6 point.
hmm The eye
Oh,
under the falcon.
yes, I can only see
Yeah, it's
five.
it's got you can't see all the points, but it
Ah,
is it is six.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, anyway, and the move of the DNA and the Carduceus spirals, it's all the same mathematics, and it's amazing how you manage to kind of harmonize those things together.
Yeah, and that all comes through it's again just being in that flow state. I couldn't really even explain exactly step by step how that comes about other than being in that meditation flow, keeping asking. I keep on asking the painting, what 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 do you want to say? What's coming through? What do we need? And what is this sacred union?
That
And these
humble,
forms just keep coming through.
yeah,
And also I've been obsessed with geometry, and I have a degree in architecture, and I excelled in
that,
math and all those things. And so it's always been
right,
an interest of mine, and really it's the way that the universe works,
exactly.
and finding the geometry of creation. It really,
Absolutely, the
yeah,
geometry is great,
really.
wonderful. All right, let's do one more picture.
Okay.
Number 3, is that good?
Yeah, is that the swan?
The Jesus.
Ah, okay. Yes. Yeah, as one of our friends from Guatemala, I love it when he says, Jesus goes to Peru.
Right, I like it.
Yeah,
Wicked clever.
a lot of people see Jesus in there. um, that is called Moment of Truth. And that was my exploration of what the dark masculine is, because I had had all these experiences with the goddess and the dark feminine, and working with Isis and Kali and
Mm,
Hecate, like these different really powerful dark feminine forces. But I hadn't really cultivated that other part of it to me. And I think when we distill it all down, I don't see as much of the duality in it, but we do give some of these aspects of our consciousness gender. But so the dark masculine, that was the question, like what is that, and how does that express itself in a divine context? So when I was asking a lot of people what is the dark masculine, a lot of times that would bring up immediately what's the shadow, what needs to be healed, which I think they're interconnected. um, but yeah, so I found the Mahakala, which is usually the guardian of the temples. It's another Buddhist figure, and he's usually all pitch black with fangs and claws, and he's the one that they want to scare you out of your mind before you enter into the sacred temple. So it's like you can face your fears, and then enter into your heart. Um, and then also the Garuda is the half eagle, half man being that he's invoking. He's doing the Garuda mudra with his hands, and the Garuda is the spirit of outrageous, which is not to be outrageous in the sense of being irresponsible or out of control, but courageous in the sense of being in integrity,
mm,
and forgiving ourselves when we're not, and yeah, finding, it's about expressing our passion in an authentic, integral way, and having the courage to 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 animate and be who we really are.
I mean, we're talking about the notion of this conversation, and it was about creating timeless art in a way, in a changing time. What is it that makes your art? Because it feels to me totally timeless. what are the aspects that make it, you know, uh, not just some weird aspect of the 20th century, 21st century?
For me, I've always been interested. I've studied and practiced Tibetan Buddhism. I grew up a self-made Christian. My parents didn't go to church, but I found my way to church regularly growing up, and I was always in search of this way to connect to something that I didn't even have words for, to spirit, to God. And I learned about what God is in many different ways in the Christian religion. It's
Mm,
very different from how I feel like I understand God now. Um, but I also learned a lot about devotion. I learned a lot about love. I learned a lot about community and collaboration through these different religions and practices and studies. And I feel like I've I've wanted to be able to look at these different archetypes, these different deities that have shown up in these different religions, these different traditions, the different shapes that we find in nature that are continuing. They're all around us. The ways that these 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 parts of ourselves express themselves through us through all of time. So there's obviously there's these different deities that have these attributes, and they might, they go by different names, they wear different things, they have these different qualities kind of based on the time that
mm,
they were expressing themselves, based on whether it was agrarian society, or maybe it's more, now we're in a very technological culture right now, so we've got all this crazy digital work and all these other ways that these aspects of ourselves, our collective consciousness, are expressing themselves. And I've wanted to be able to not just look to the traditional way that these parts of ourselves are expressed, and I think that we can find a lot of those keys in these traditions, but also finding a way that how is it expressing itself through me in the time that I'm living in now, but also there's these qualities of the human experience that are timeless, that and I may be successful with that, I may not be, and hopefully I am, but
absolutely are. You
that's
capture it
here.
divinely. And you communicate it so beautifully. That was so articulately communicated about that. With all these archetypes express themselves differently depending on the time they find themselves in. But the underlying nature of them, there's a truth in the underlying nature.
Yeah,
That's what you're
yeah.
openly inviting into your work.
And there's these different rites of passage, throughout of time. We all experience, when someone is born, or something is created. We know that as humans for all of time. We know when we experience the feeling of falling in love, we experience death. We There's all these different things that are timeless, that are beautiful, all of those things. And if we can find the ways in which we all relate with that kind of fundamental baseline frequency of existences, and also the spirit of creation, I think that's where we will be able to
Spirit of creation.
express and experience more love.
Wonderful. Right. Onwards. Beautiful. You've got options. You can sing us some songs. I've got a video queued up.
Okay.
A few, whatever you want to, however you want to proceed from here.
All right.
You want to do the music?
Yeah, we'll do a song. So
I'll reset that.
one of the reasons, so we're just going to do this one song. And one of the things I love to do is create music for art pieces and art for music pieces. This is a piece that I started on the first day of quarantine. And I sent a call out to my art community
Wow.
asking what they needed during this time.
Wow.
And I got a lot of really beautiful responses, basically prayer requests for what they might need in a painting.
What's it on?
Well,
great.
Oh, it's on canvas. I layered a couple pieces of canvas and some wood.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. And so we're going to perform the song of this painting for you all.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
It's called Indigo.
And this is your darling James. Hi, James.
This is James
Greetings.
Karen. This is my lovely, lovely husband and collaborator.
And part of the painting.
Conspirator. And part of the painting that I painted into existence. He literally, I painted that.
It's definitely a beautiful chapter for us. And little details like the little goatee that the male character has. I've had that exactly once in my life, and it was when she was painting it, and we still hadn't met yet. It's very, very fun synchronicities in there.
Indigo child, indigo child, why so blue? Why so blue? The world that you live in, world that you swim in is oh so blue, oh so blue. The color of my eyes is where our house of stars collides, watching as they open glowing embers in the sky. Oceans moving, time. Time, She gazes into the waters that carry her deeply. She gazes into the waters that carry him deeply. Dream walker, where do you go? Moon river, how do you flow? Star singer, what do you know? Pray do tell me, pray do tell, pray do tell me, pray do tell. I pray for all the rivers and the lakes and the oceans, to know the love of man and of the one heart devotion. May we grow to understand the needs of earth and emotion, tame the raging fires and give up our greed for the potion. Whoa, the potion, I want the potion, that beautiful potion. Whoa, the potion. The one heart elixir for despair and for glory. Tears fall like diamonds in this never-ending story. The return of the light and the name that is remembered will restore us all to oneness in the long cold December. Indigo, 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 go. Indigo, indigo, in the now we know.
Indigo, 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 go. Indigo, indigo, in the now we know. Indigo, 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 go. Indigo, indigo, in the now we know. Indigo, 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 go. Indigo, indigo,
Pure love and motion. As the sky, blue as the ocean. Blue as the stone that speaks with pure love and motion. Indigo, 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 go. Indigo, indigo, in the now we know. The movement in our mind is of time experiential, as the music in this rhyme beyond tick-tock sequential. There's nothing to define as we sit inside the trickle, moving silent as I climb through all the layers into portals of the one true love. This is my one true love.
we are but one true love, one love,
one love, one love, one love, one love, one love.
love, one love, one love.
Wow. How can you like contain so much talent? I don't understand. Like, how can you be blessed with so many gifts? And thank you for sharing them with the world. First off.
Mm,
Second
you're
off.
welcome.
Second off, thank you for sharing them. First off, what? I mean, that was amazing. I don't think I've ever heard you sing.
Yeah, well, this is our new and blossoming project. James has been doing music forever professionally, but I have been singing with community for years, and it's something I've always really loved to do. I used to sing to all the animals. I grew up on a farm. I would sing to the cats, sing to the horses,
She still
sing to the
does that,
trees.
and it's still awesome.
I feel like that had something to do with it, being able to grow up in nature somehow. That tuned
Amazing.
me into the voice. But yeah,
Amazing. And I'm loving this new thing where you're pairing music to the art piece as like an embedded experience of light and sound.
In both
Yeah.
directions too. It comes both directions, which is
yeah.
really
Sometimes
interesting.
we'll create the song. This song actually was I wrote this song before the painting. Sometimes the painting comes after or before. Sometimes simultaneously. Yeah. There's the video piece. I don't know if we have time for that.
We could do it. 12 minutes.
That also goes with the painting. If you want to show.
Oh, yeah.
Really briefly, we'll show the painting that I started that's actually in progress that goes with the song we're going to cue up for you guys. The YouTube song is from a show we did at the Great American Music Hall in San Francisco. It was on winter solstice, and this is called Water Phoenix.
We had done the piece.
Yeah, thank you.
We had done the piece, and then we realized it was part of. Once the piece was going, we realized it was connected with the painting, and then we went from there, and both benefited.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. It's very.
So this is a work in progress, but yeah, that's the beginnings of it.
It's honestly, I find your work so enchanting. Just like I don't want to compare, artists together and say you're just like this, but I mean Amanda Sage's work does something to me just like yours does, and I've only ever met a couple of visionary artists that really like into my being, and you're one of them.
And they're all friends.
Yeah.
We're all friends, which is great. So
Yeah.
it only makes all better.
And that's the beauty of art, is that there's so many amazing artists and so many ways that we all relate to art. Could be it's diversity. That's one of the things I love about it.
Should we play this video?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Amazing. What creative magistry. You know, it reminds me a lot of the movement now. Do you think this is a movement that's going to continue, this notion of bringing sound with light, bringing art and music together? I mean, I know we've had it a long time in, you know, in ancient times and what have you, but do you think that there's a real sort of renaissance of bringing art and light together again?
Yeah, creativity in general. I think it can go in every direction, and the more we do it, the more we're inspired to do it further and across more genres. I mean, we got a friend of ours discussed recently about there was Picasso and a filmmaker and a bunch, like, you know, a long time ago, they all made these projects together, and they were, you know, apparently Picasso did set design for that. You know, it's like all kinds of different stuff, and as these happen more and more, we encourage it to happen more and more.
I think also there's so many different ways that the spirit wants to express, and there's so many ways to experience. I'm really interested in multimedia. You know, there's the sound and light and movement, smell. I'm collaborating with someone who also creates essential oils for each piece as well. So how can the same intention be expressed through all the different ways, through all the different senses? It is, I don't want to overwhelm anyone.
Right.
And hope, I think that I think that that's definitely happening right now.
I mean, maybe there's a future where you get to choose your senses. Like, okay, I'll just have one sense. I'll just look at the image. Okay, now I'll add a sense. You just push a button and the experience.
Right, now I'm ready for the vibration.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I did just I submitted this work to the De Young Museum. They had an open call for artists, and and we want to include the audio that goes with it that people can listen to. That is if it gets accepted. I'll know at the end of July.
Did you? It reminds me of work that my friend's doing. Kenji Williams. Did you see? Do you know about him and Bella Gaia?
New
So,
names, love it. Excited to find out more.
Yeah, I'm going to connect you.
Wide world.
He's wonderful. Basically, I did an interview, so you can check that out. And so he talks all about it. But basically, he unites statistically graphified images of the Earth. So what's going on in nature and how changes are happening with live music and art performance. So it's kind of like an experience to really gel into people what's going on with nature.
Love it.
Yeah,
sounds
definitely.
amazing.
So what's the future hold for you? I mean, it's been so great having you on. It's come, our conversation has come to an end already. Tell me about the future for you and how people can get involved.
Yeah.
Are you seeing clients? Are you doing any personal work with people?
The most personal work I've done historically has been through commission work. We dive deep into a lot of things there with kind of, just one-on-one. I have been doing some classes. The best thing that people can do to learn about my offerings and to learn about new works as they're coming out is through my website, ishkalha.com. There's a sign up for my newsletter. It comes right up that you can sign up that way. We also have a site for JAMeeSHKA, JAMeeSHKA.com, and there's also a sign up there so you know when we're doing more shows. We've been doing weekly broadcasts since quarantine started, every Friday night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Indeed.
And I'm also going to be releasing this new painting, hopefully by solstice. We're on a land project right now that we're helping develop infrastructure for right now, and so I'm finding photographers for the paintings and all the things I need to produce it. But I would love for people to learn about it that way.
Wonderful. And the commission stuff you do, you could be commissioned for a piece and with sound. So like
Yes, we sometimes call it 360 curation. So we've done things from all different directions for all different reasons for all different kinds of people, and collaboration is always one of our favorite things.
Yeah, we've been doing that. We've also been creating these little portals that people can go into. I brought it to the Sand Conference and many different festivals.
Wonderful.
And also
portals, huh? I want to connect you to the Elizabeths who do the Be Divine portals.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
So much
we
good
love collaborating.
Indeed.
And we've also been bringing the music and art piece to retreats and doing workshops together as well, helping pop people's singing bubbles, singing cherry.
The video we just watched actually contained two epic collaborations. One of the dancers from one of our favorite collaborators, dance troupe Bad Uncle Sista. If you haven't experienced them, they're incredible. And then
her name is Uncle Princess. She
was
was the performer for that.
Uncle Princess.
And then our friend Nate is an amazing lighting designer. He did those cubes with the lighting design there. So we do some collaborations with him as well.
Wonderful. And that was, where was that shot?
Great American Music Hall, one of our favorite venues in the world.
It's one of the oldest music venues left in San Francisco.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think
and tell us about how do you see the future? Are you a Meow Wolf experience?
This is all brand new. I mean, this part of it, Ishka's been painting for a long time. As she mentioned, I've done music for a long time. And since we've swirled this together, it's still relatively new. And so we're rediscovering it every day, and we
would love to go to Meow Wolf.
Indeed.
Amanda Sage is your communication in.
That's a good point.
Awesome. Yeah.
It's been such a pleasure having you both on the show. Surprise guest James slid in at the end.
Thank you so much.
So wonderful. I love your work, and I one of the things that I had delightful. I had one of your pieces up. I got from Divinatory, and then
Nice.
when I met my love Z, I found that in her favorite picture, the only thing that she has up is your Hathor. And she was like, "Yes, it's divine." I said, "I know her." Anyway, so again, that was lovely, and thank you for so beautifully and humbly creating portals for us all to remember what's really behind the the noise.
Mm. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks for this show.
Yeah.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you. Thank you. Ishka Lha, James, JAMeeSHKA,
JAMeeSHKA.
JAMeeSHKA. It's obvious.
Ishka Lha and
JAMeeSHKA.
James. Ishka and James make a JAMeeSHKA.
Indeed.
JAMeeSHKA. It is obvious. It is clear. Sounds like Olga from Alicia Dutner's character. Okay, I'm going to close the show.
Oh, she's great.
Thank you. Oh, did you see I interviewed her last couple
Oh,
of days?
cool. She's an old friend. That's great.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Right. She's
All
coming
right.
back to the Bay, if you heard,
Excellent. Good to hear.
and probably looking for a place in case you know of anyone.
You
Anyway,
never know.
yeah, I will close out the show and speak to you both lovely soon.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Love to you
Be
all.
well.
Love to you.
Thank you. Oh wow, what a great show! I mean, the way people manage. I mean, Ishka and James manage to hold the light of creation and share it with us. There's so much beauty and light everywhere, and it's all in us. What we're seeing in this art and hearing in this art is us reflected, and that's why it feels so so divine. It's not because it's some exterior thing. It's yes, amazing how they've channeled it down, but they're channeling it from a place that's you, that's me, that's us inside, and that's why it has that triggering effect. And we're all capable of this sacred divine channeling. Of course, how we express it will depend on the vehicle we've got, and whether we happen to be good at art or maths or sounds, but we've all got the ability to tune into the truth behind the noise of the Maya. And that's what these beautiful artists do. They tune in, and then they turn it into a metaphor. They turn it, and a metaphor means to pass over from one thing to another. So they're literally transducing, converting the oneness into the two-ness in its keeping its purity of form, so that when we witness it and experience it, we go, oh, it feels so divine. Now, as Ishka was saying, let's not pedestal that and go, oh, you did that. Oh, you're the star. You're wonderful. Yes, we appreciate them. They're amazing.
Or I can't do that. It's not
Exactly.
about that.
Exactly.
Inspire you to do it too.
Right. Exactly.
In your way.
And you're not on screen, by the way, but they can hear you.
Oh, cool.
And so having that that acceptance that and it comes back to being humbly curious and courageous, being humbly, courageously curious. How much can you inquire? How much can you humbly inquire as to your origins and your self-divinity, rather than separating ourselves in this patriarchal way which society has been built up to separate this person from this person, this group from this racial, this religion. It's all bullshit. We're all in the womb together. We are the womb, and that's what this beautiful work helps us to remember, to become a member again of. Wow, thank you so much to my wonderful guests, Ishka and James. Tomorrow, I have a book, Book Evolved, bookevolved.com, bookevolved.com. It's so wonderful hosting and holding these spaces. Thank you all so much for joining. Please like, and most importantly, share. The share is much more important than the like, even though likes are nice. Have watch parties, enjoy, see you tomorrow.